Today we're making steak and egg, my favorite breakfast when I'm on holiday, using some Portuguese Bitoque inspired flavors. Let's do it. First up, because we're frying the egg in the same pan, I refuse to use more than one pan for breakfast, we have to make sure the pan does not stick. How do we do that? First, you want high heat. Once the pan feels like it's hot, you test the water, literally, by dropping droplets of water. Still evaporating quite slowly, so that's not good enough. Now, the water droplets are starting to dance as if they're ice skating. You can even toss them. That's when you know you can add the cold oil. This is what's going to prevent the egg from sticking later on. Once the oil starts to shimmer, we season our steak. Our steak goes in. We press it down with a spatula to maximize the surface area that is in contact with the hot pan, with the hot oil, causing the Maillard reaction. This is what's going to make the steak taste meaty. The actual Portuguese recipe calls for paprika to marinate the steak. I find the paprika, yes, it gives the color, but with high heat, it starts to burn, losing a bit of the vibrance. So I'd much rather add the paprika later. Now, the reason why we're not using a non-stick, even though we have the egg in mind, is that I want the steak and the egg, to some extent, to have a bit of burn bits, to build a bit of fond. So then we could deglass with our cooking liquid to make a very quick pan sauce with some vibrant flavors and colors out of it. Bitoque is by definition a minute steak, but I still prefer using at least 1 inch thick so that I can get the crust I want without sacrificing too much doneness. Beautiful caramelization. You want the thickest part of the steak to hit about 47, 48 degrees Celsius, and the resting and carryover cooking would bring it to around 54, medium rare, which is how I like my steak. Perfect. Steak comes out to rest directly on the serving plate. We crack our egg, keeping all of the oil for now and making sure the oil is shimmering once again. The egg goes in. And this is how I like my egg. Crispy, crispy egg white, Maillard reaction, complementing the meatiness of the steak. And just to help the top side get started, we baste. But not basting the yolk. Once the edges look caramelized and browned, you carefully remove the egg to rest directly on the steak, keeping each other warm. Now, we drain off the excess fat, leaving just a very thin layer. And to mop up all those flavors, all those fond, a bit of sweet pepper. Straight in. This will cool down the pan slightly. And the heat from the pan would start releasing the moisture from the sweet peppers. And we start to deglass the pan, mopping up those beautiful flavors. A bit of garlic. I like garlic. And of course, the recipe is just a guideline. Once you've made this once, you can make the pan sauce with whatever flavors you fancy. Season once again with salt, pepper, and the smoked paprika we promised. Now we deglass the pan with some dry vermouth. You can use dry sherry, you can use white wine, just to bring a bit of acidity, a bit of brightness to the sauce. It's breakfast after all, you don't want a port or red wine reduction. Perfect. Now, here we have some olive for garnish, but we're going to add the olive brine to the pan jus to bring even more brightness to the dish. Oh, perfect. Stove off. Slice a generous amount of coriander, leaves and stalks included. And we can plate. Well-rested steak and egg. Sauce the plate. And that's a Portuguese Bitoque inspired steak and egg, my favorite breakfast.